Earlier this year I decided to give this a shot to try to make a flying machine with push limit 2. Please watch the video on my second channel, it's a good introduction into push limit 2 tech and goes over the core extensions and components. To quickly recap it, we managed to make a lot of simple components and a manual update engine that moves when this observer is triggered externally. A couple of weeks ago I saw XCOM working on an interesting project. Together with Robbie they made a simplified flying machine simulator that can quickly check that the flying machine is working. Goal is to use it for machine learning to generate new flying machines. I forked it and modified for push limit 2 since engine was not yet discovered at that time. Sadly, the simple genetic algorithm implementation only found some random permutations of the original manual update engine. This project is still in early development and XCOM is in need of help, so please join him if you wish to expanding last month of the summer in your mom's basement. This inspired me though to continue with this project and try to make the engine work. One concept that I wanted to research more is to tile those manual update engines into a backward extension. This is the same idea behind the MXI's and Myron's first 1.5 flying machine. If you make a backwards extension, then given enough length, it can loop on itself and trigger the first module. So this is what this basically does. During development I found many ways to tile those modules. Sadly all of them are directional and engine only works in the east-west direction, and the reason for that are those two observers, since they're powering the same piston that is behind them, and we really need this observer to win over this one. So yeah, update order is important here, sadly. So yeah, first tiling I tried is this offset of 2 blocks, and I really tried to find a working layout, but I failed. So after some iterations I tried this one with only 1 block offset, and it actually worked. You can actually have this observer read impulse from this piston and its head, so only those 2 blocks are working, but you can have this observer basically anywhere you want, so you may as well have some vertical offset like over here. What else? You can have some really crazy vertical offset like over here and here. So maybe the same concept may be used for some vertical extensions, but I did not manage to find any working layouts other than the one shown here. Also, if you somehow manage to wire this with 2 block offset, then the engine will be basically only half of the current size. And another thing I really wanted to make but failed horribly is making it slimeless. So all of those layouts have at least 1 slime block per module, and that's alright, but wouldn't it be cool if it was also slimeless while also having push limit 2? But yeah, I failed at that, sadly. So let's look at the engine itself a bit closer. So it's basically a lot of manual update engines tiled together, and they're activating each other. So as you can see, this observer over here is reading input from this piston, and it's triggering this manual update engine, and so on. One important thing is that they're not just one next to each other, they're actually helping each other. So part of the wiring of this engine is actually helping to finish sequence of the next component. Each module has a sequence of 5 pulling pistons, and the goal of basically whole structure is to just pull this single redstone block. So this is the back part of an instance sideways extension by MXI and Jan from the 1.5 sideways extension shown many years ago. And the next core component is this piston facing the other direction that is toggling this redstone block. It was made by Divided by Zero, and it's really helpful because it creates a lot of places to place blocks over here. So yes, that's the second core component, and also it completes the first 3 pulls of those like 3 pistons. Also, just like 1.5 engines, this has 2 phases. One when it moves and the other one when it resets. So let me quickly trigger it. It will move now. And now if I trigger it again, it will reset. So as you may notice, oops, let's quickly break it. As you may notice, it resets way slower than it triggers, and that's why this engine can move in 2 different phases. So one way to do it is to actually send a wave of resetting and then an activation. This way the propagation of the wave will be really slow, so the engine will move slowly. And the second is the one I went with in the end, and that's when I send a wave of fast moving and then send the wave of resetting, and it has just enough time to reset while the fast wave makes it loop around the whole engine. Spindle even started writing a proof in Lean that push limit 2 engines are impossible in Minecraft, but sadly he mainly got stuck in the phase of flying machine definition. It's actually really hard to define what is a flying machine. But once I got first few modules of a backwards extension working, I started celebrating, since I knew that the actual engine was just a question of time. And the reason for that is that engine is basically a backwards extension. So all you need to do is to start tiling it. Then you need to have a transition into the second one that's facing the other direction to create the actual loop. And then when you've got far enough behind the initial module, all you need to do is to connect the backwards extension module, last one, to the first one, and then you completed the loop and you've got a working engine. The only thing that was left to design are those connections on both ends, and they're different since one of them is extending downwards and the other one required an upwards extension, but it wasn't a big deal. What was a bigger deal are the actual trigger mechanisms for the backwards extension. So as I explained earlier, you need 2 triggers for it to move one block. First one moves and the second one resets the machine, and you need quite a lot of delay between those 2 inputs. And for that I used a backwards wire component I showed in the last video. When it moves forward, those piston worms create quite a lot of spamming, and I use this spamming on this redstone lamp to spam it. As you know, if you spam an observer into a redstone lamp, it doesn't have time to turn off, so it just stays on. So once this machine moves forward, this lamp turns on. That's the first input, so the engine moves, and then it stays on for quite a lot of time while those are spamming, and when they stop spamming, this lamp turns off, and we get just the right timing for it to start resetting without breaking. So yeah, that was it. Quite an interesting way to activate those backwards extensions. So yeah, I'm glad I managed to answer this question of theoretical mathematics, if it's possible or not. Now push limit 2 tech has a working engine, so instant sideways extensions, slimeless engines, more compact engines are just a question of time, not a question of theory. I also forgot to mention why even try to do this. The main goal was obviously to have fun. Push limit 2 tech is unlike anything else I worked on previously. It's not like the slimeless stage, and it's not like the usual slimestone. It's somewhere in the middle. So yeah, I really recommend to try it out yourself, because it's a lot of fun. It's really tingling your brain. I know that maybe there are some practical uses, like there are servers where to prevent flying machines, moderators set the push limit to 2. So maybe if you find such server, you now can create a Flank machine. Yeah, I don't know. I am just coming up with excuses why I was working on this for a couple of weeks once again. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see ya.
Hi, I'm Terry Davis. I'm the smartest programmer that's ever lived. I was chosen by God to make his temple. I was given divine intellect.
Yeah, I've been like antisocial for like 25 years or something, or all my life or something.
I'm kind of like stoic, like now I hit the humiliation doesn't really hurt, and nothing hurts anymore.